We welcome everyone. Just making sure that we can see everything. Okay, we are live. Perfect. So, welcome. Happy Monday, everyone. And this one's going to be such a great topic in the sense that I'm going to be talking about my, framework, which is mindset, strategy, and profit, and why this is the framework and the steps you need to take in order to build a successful business and sustainable business and to be around, for a long time, not just, quick wins and it hits certain things and then you'll be gone. No, this is about being in business, doing the thing that you love, and creating that impact that you desire. And I mean, you're putting all this effort. You want to be here for more than just one or 2 3 years. You want to be here for the long run. And in my experience, as previously working with clients as an advisor for finances and when it comes to accounting, bookkeeping, and taxes, I've seen the back end of the businesses finance wise. And I've also mentored these businesses on how to run, these business owners on how to run their businesses, how to hire, how to scale their businesses in a way that makes sense for them, but that also helps them be sustainable and always keeping a profit. And this is not something that we really hear in the industry spoken about a lot. It's always about the revenue or that income number, right? There you're always hearing, I just hit 100K a year. I just hit 1 million, but we rarely hear about the profit. And sometimes you'll hear it like sweep under the rug, where it's like, you know, yeah, I have 90% profit margin, and that's great, but there's really no transparency when it comes to how they're able to keep that high margin of profit, which is great. I mean, if you're able to do that, kudos to you. Great. That's what we want to see, right? More in the industry. And that's the reason why I went from being and doing the numbers and strategizing with clients to really shift into educating entrepreneurs to understand that numbers is the language business is the language of business. And if you can understand that early on, you'll be making decisions that create success, that lay the foundations for your business, that allow you to navigate different things that come your way in the journey of growth and scalability. And I would keep coming back and forth. I'm like, where can I make the greatest impact? And I would always get these clients, not in the beginning because they don't understand, right? The importance of understanding the language of business, which is numbers. But I would always get them when they were like pressed on, like, I really have to get my numbers straight. So they would come because now they understood, okay, I need a budget. Now they understand that they need to pay themselves accordingly, and now they understand they got to be on top of their taxes. Now they understand that they need to keep profit in their business, and why that's, they don't completely understand why, but they understand that they need to get a hold of that. And I was like, this is like, at a certain point it could be a little bit too late, but to undo all that work. So I say, you know what? I'm gonna make it my mission to start speaking to these entrepreneurs, to these business owners from the beginning, and helping them understand that profit is the way you see business needs to shift. You can't see it as, I'm just gonna hit this milestone, 10K months, and that's it. And then pricing it in a way that doesn't make sense to cover expenses, to cover your salary, and to cover the business long term. And so it's about taking a view and a shift from seeing it just about hitting a quick win, or really just getting excited about what you're seeing others in the industry doing because they're hitting milestones, right? They're hitting the 10K month, 20K month, 50K month. I run a milli, I have a business that gives me $1 million every year, and I'm going to double that next year. But there's so much planning and strategy and a shifting in the way you think about business finances that it takes work and it takes time to understand. So basically that's kind of where I came from and decided to bring that and infuse that into business coaching and mentoring, because my goal is to see more entrepreneurs be profitable in their businesses and have that freedom, because you can be making $1 million in your business and totally be broke and in debt, because I've seen it. I mean, I had this one client where she came in and she wanted to go ahead and try to save her business. And at the time, it was already there was a lot of stuff that needed to get done, but I'm not going to say it was too late, but they just neglected that part of the business so much that there were some consequences to it that affected not just her business, but her life as well. And I don't think this is something that entrepreneurs grasp really well until they're in the midst in the of it. So getting your numbers straight from the beginning and setting these foundations are going to help you long term. Pricing your offers correctly, okay? Correctly. I don't mean just because you want high income months, let's go price these offers at $2,000 just because that's the number that feels good to you. No, there has to be some type of understanding why it is that we're pricing our offers in a certain way, certain things you have to take into account, and a lot to really like dive into this training. But it's not just about picking a price and seeing, okay, this fits, right? It's about actually having also budgets and understanding, okay, these are my expenses in my business. This is how much needs to come in, and this is how much, an actual number that you want to have at the end of every month and every year, how much profit you want to have in your business. And that's something that we really dive in with our clients, and it could shift. Some are okay with having 15%, some are okay with having 40%, depending on what their goal is, right? But we always start with mindset, because you have to shift from seeing it, especially if you come from corporate, you're just going into work, doing the work, getting paid an hourly rate maybe of 25, 30, 55 an hour, right? Or maybe you're in corporate and you were salary based, right? And then you bring in that mentality as a business owner, and now you try to price yourself in that way. And it's not going to work. It's not going to be sustainable, and you're not going to break a profit, period. Right. And because you're thinking that way, you're not really using that strategy is really not going to serve you long term. So working on mindset means shifting the way you see it and really stepping in your CEO role. You don't have to wait till you hit six figures, till you hit the milestone for you to consider yourself a CEO. By law, basically, as soon as you step in and you open your business and you open a door for service, you are considered the owner, the president, and the CEO of a corporation. Bottom line, that's how they see you. And you are the one that pretty much makes the decisions in the business. So might as well, right, start stepping into that mindset of how should I be making my business decisions, and how these decisions can give me a ripple effect for years and years to come. So basically, that's why something we work on is shifting from your mindset from really you and really how a business owner should be looking at the business. Then we need to create strategy depending on the goal that you have with this business, right? When we open the doors to our businesses, there is a long-term view. There's a certain impact you want to make. Like I shared in the beginning of this training, right? My goal is, at the end of the day, is to see more entrepreneurs be profitable. What do I mean by being profitable? To see them have actually carry over at the end of the month money over, right? Not that we break even, meaning like I make money, I pay my expenses, and then I'm at zero. No, that's not the way to do business. That's not gonna keep us, long term in the industry. And that's what I bring in, right? That's my impact. That's the long-term thing I want to do with my clients. It's not just about hitting a certain income goal. It's not about just me. It's about how can we make this business go forward, right? There's budgets that need to be set on a yearly timing. And if you guys are liking this, I can totally do a deep dive on that part in another training. Just let me know in the comments below. But there's things that have to come into place, right? So it's kind of taking a zoom out and really looking at your business and seeing, okay, if the goal is to achieve this, I'm going to use my business to spread my message, share my value, and let my people know, right, that profit is the way to go no matter what. So usually, if you, I mean, the way we do it is you need to have at least 3 to 6 months worth of expenses saved up and set aside in your business. So if that is the goal, then that means that we need to be able to price our offers, taking that in consideration, number one. And number two, we need to take in consideration what is it going to cost you or the business in order to produce the products or services that you are going to sell to communicate or to create that impact that you want. And then what's it going to take you, right? Because by law, you are supposed to actually pay yourself a salary, right? You just can't be not paying yourself a salary. So you need to consider that and work that into the equation when we're thinking about pricing our offers and looking at all those things. Even if that's not going to be like the step one thing you're going to make when you're opening the doors, but it's part of your business plan to figure out, okay, how much of marketing am I going to need? If I'm going to need a VA, how much is that going to cost me? Right? Because then you can price out everything accordingly. So, for example, for us, there's a budget and we won't go beyond that budget. No matter what the project is, we have budgets for, management, we have budgets for advertising, we have budgets for, what else? All the team members that we have on board, there's budgets set there. Anything over that, we need to consider a lot of different things before we decide to go, right? If there's a necessity to go over budget. But for the most part, that's not something that we will consider doing because that's why we take a look at the budgets before time and we plan and let's say we want to hire an editor, right? Let's say somebody is doing the work now, but that person we're seeing is we can use it we can use that person in some other department or in some other activity. We might decide that it's time to go ahead and hire or delegate that to another team member outside and hire and bring that one person in to take over that, right? But we will have to look at both the person that's doing the work currently and also the person that can come in and see what the ROI would be, right? It's not just a decision like I'm going to start hiring all these different people and boom, I'm going to be like, getting the work done. No, there's math that needs to go in. There's an ROI that we need to account for. And if we're going to hire them, we make the plan to give ourselves between 6 to a year time frame to budget for that. Okay, budget for that, meaning like we start saving for that salary, and we like to have a year's worth of salary saved up for that one new hire to be able to not worry about that throughout the year, right? Because the only thing I can control is what's on my deck. I can't control if sales go down. I can't control if there's something going on in the world, but I can control what I do with whatever assets, whatever money I have on my deck. So you do it the best way possible. So if you're feeling like this is like high end, like it's a lot, don't worry. Basically, it's about thinking long term when you're going to start your business or when you are already in your business. Think long term. Again, if we're trying to hire someone out, right? You want to delegate, let's say, administration, and you're like, I'm done. I don't want to do this. I want that person. If you see that person does better in editing and you want to shift them into editing, you want to bring someone in for administration. Maybe that person's going to be doing both of those things for a little bit, and then you can shift out, right? And delegate that to somebody that can just focus totally on that. So you give yourself a time frame of 6 months to work on that budget, meaning like how much am I going to need? Maybe you're going to need $2,000 or $200,000 for that salary to get that new hire. And you want to have the year's worth of that already into your savings so that you don't have to worry about that. And you can train them, you can facilitate whatever it is that you need for them, and then bring them in. And that investment that you're making obviously is going to bring in more money into the business because they're going to work faster. That person that was doing the work before will move into something that they're really good at. and can deliver best results for you, especially if it's for marketing. They'll start, obviously that's their zone of genius. They'll be working on that. So even though we see $200,000, let's say, going out in a salary, making that move and that shift is going to bring 2 to 3 times more than that. And it's about starting to shift that way of thinking. And a lot of entrepreneurs that I work with and that I hear and that everything's about hitting that income goal, but it's never about the profit side of the business. It's never about how can we move year to year 500,000, right? 500,000. Let's just move that and see what investment. Imagine if you made $1 million in the business, right? And you, after paying your taxes, paying your expenses, kept 500,000 in the business. You go into the following year with 500,000. Like, think about that. Like the space, the freedom that gives you, the business, the team, the just automatically that freedom that it gives you, right? You have already your budgets in, you have put money aside for expenses, you're good to go, and you go into the following year with 500,000 in. Plus, if you've already launched, offers for the year, you go into the business, I mean into 20 the following year with, let's say you're secured your salary, you're not your salary, but your income, right? Let's say you secured another 500,000 for the following year in contracts. That's like the best, right? And that's where we want to get to. Like the way of thinking of how using, the business, using the assets that we're getting to create that freedom and that profitability in our business and lives so that we can start now really focusing and diving deep, right, onto how to create more value, massive value for the people that are out there needing your help, your services, right? So that's the thing. That's why when we work with clients, that's the main focus. There's three areas, right? Obviously, yes, they need to execute on the strategy, but the main thing is you got to think like a CEO. Then you got to apply that to your strategy, right? In your products, in your marketing, in your launches, in your, in how you deliver your services. And then we also need to make sure that we're being profitable. And I apply profitability in every aspect, in your sales, in your marketing efforts, in your team, in your scalability, in your expenses, in everything. Everything needs to work for you in giving you an ROI and then trickle down, to your business, but also to your personal life. So it's not like when I work with clients, I'm only looking at one thing and that's it. I'm looking at their business as a whole. And because of that, I'm also looking at the personal and listening to what personal goals they have, what they want to do, right? Someone to buy a house, someone to pay debt. Some of them want to buy cars. Some of them want to save for retirement. Some of them want to start saving for not for retirement, for college, for their kids. So all of these things can be met by applying mindset, strategy, and profitability in your business. And it all trickles down like a domino effect. So definitely, I don't hear it spoken a lot about budgeting and things like that, budgeting and planning ahead and learning the language of business because it's not going to be the thing that attracts people, but is the thing that is going to help you, keep your business lasting for years and years to come. And it's the solid foundation, right? That's going to help you to keep moving forward. So it's not just that when I work with my clients, we work on learning how to make money, but we learn on how to make that multiply over and over and over again, right? And set up that freedom and profitability year after year. So that's the thing. If you're, liking this conversation, this training, I would love for you to let me know in the comments below why. I mean, not why, but what you liked about that and what would you like me to talk more about. But basically that this was just kind of like a way for me to give you a an idea of where mindset, strategy, and profit came from. Why is it so dear and important to me? Why is it that you're always going to hear me talk about that? And really, that's what that stems for. That's my services and my products are going to stem from mindset, strategy, and profit. What's the goal? we still work on selling, we still work on, marketing processes and everything, the focus is always to make you profitable, meaning having, growing year after year after year, and no more running, through debt. No more, which is not bad if you're doing that. Okay, fine, but there's a way to do it in a way that's effective for you, that gives you freedom and profitability, and knowing how to do it in a way that serves you, that doesn't put you on a bind, and then making sure that we have a plan for that profit, and then making sure that everything feels smooth and good, and there is success in your business, not just in how much income you're getting, but how much you get to keep at the end of the year and at the end of every month, and then work with that, give that money a purpose to serve you long term, and then take care of certain areas, right? Like budgeting for team. Like entrepreneurs need to have an idea as to what it costs to, let's say you have a group program. How much does that group program make for you? But how much does it cost you to deliver those services, right? And you have to take into account the expenses of support coaches, administration, software, all of that you have to take into account. And it's not something that I see many entrepreneurs take in consideration. They're just pricing their offers, and then they're happy with, oh, I brought in this much. But then it's like, my expenses, right? They hire all these support coaches, and they're really not taking a lot of the benefits of hiring those many coaches into their business, because they're not understanding that if they're investing, let's say $600 a month into a support coach, how much of that, that investment is bringing back. It might be giving you time, but is that bringing in retention into your programs? Are those support coaches that you're paying, let's say you're paying one support coach, is she really giving you, is there an ROI to that investment aside from just freeing up your time? Is she helping you with the goal of retention, of re-sign clients? That obviously is going to help you, because you don't have to go out there and look for more leads or spend in ads. Do you see what I mean? So it's about looking at it in that lens and thinking about it and making hiring decisions in that way, and business decisions in that way, because that's what's going to serve you long term, without you having to be working extra hard to go ahead and hit income goals, but also make profit. So I look forward to talk to you guys again next week. Have a great week if I don't talk to you guys again. But I really love having this conversation, and I look forward to see what else you would like me to talk about in the next few trainings. Bye.